Hello and welcome to week 4 of our course on the overview of Korean history. This week's topic is Unifying Silla, sometimes pronounced Silla, sometimes pronounced Shilla. There's an old Whitney Houston song that's entitled, "Didn't We Almost Have It All?" And I think that could be a good slogan for Silla during this period. Silla had officially unified the peninsula for the first time in Korean history, but it rarely had secure control of all of its territory. Often it had to make deals with local lords to be able to maintain its territory and make deals, of course, with the Chinese to keep the armies of the Chinese dynasties away from its borders. Still, the period of unified rule under what's known as later Silla was one of the most prosperous periods of Korean history. There were great advances in arts, literacy, and religion during this time period. During this period also, a writing system was developed called by scholars Idu. It used simplified Chinese characters, as also some of them as grammar markers in the Korean language, to write what we now call Old Korean. Not much is known for certain about Old Korean because very few documents from this period have survived, but it seems to have facilitated the communication of legal matters from the government, but also some literature items for poorly educated people in the Silla Kingdom, such as poetry and some Buddhist texts. The prosperity of the capital at Gyeongju was legendary throughout the world. Some scholars estimate that the capital of Silla may have been one of the 3 most prosperous cities on earth in the 9th century, along with Xi'an in China and, of course, Constantinople in Europe. The Arabs called Silla the golden, or they called Gyeongju the golden city. As all the way to Arabia, it was famous that objects made of or adorned with gold were so easily purchased and obtained in Gyeongju. Basically, it's simple to say that Gyeongju itself was the eastern end of the Silk Road, the last stop on the mainland before crossing the sea toward Japan. There were also, as I mentioned, important advances in religion during this period. Wonhyo, a Buddhist sage and monk, was a key figure in Sillan religion and in the history of Buddhism. He created a synthesis of a variety of Buddhist schools from throughout China that became the foundation for Korean Buddhism. And Wonhyo's son, yes, a monk, had a son named Sol-chang, went on to be a key figure first in Buddhism and later in the founding of Korean Confucianism. A central aspect of Sillan culture and society that also played a role in its downfall was the rigid system of social stratification scholars call the bone rank system. There were actually a variety of ranks, and the bone rank was only part of the system. But those at the top were called, there were 2 ranks at the top. One was called the holy bone rank, that was the highest level, and then the true bone rank was the next level. These were essentially members of the royal families of Silla and the former Korean kingdoms. Mobility in Sillan society was only possible within one's rank, regardless of intelligence or skill or ability. And so as a result, Silla experienced a kind of brain drain of its greatest scholars and its most talented artisans and professionals. Since they were limited by the possibilities of rank and therefore income in Silla, many of them moved to China for better opportunities. It's important also to note that another kingdom named Balhae or Parhe ruled over the former territories of Goguryeo to the north of Silla. Koreans sometimes call this the northern and southern states period because they want to claim Balhae as a Korean kingdom. But this is a very contested subject in scholarship, even until today. Basically, it depends whether you follow Korean scholarship, Chinese scholarship, Russian scholarship, or Japanese scholarship, what you would do with Balhae. And in fact, it seems to have been a multi-ethnic kingdom ruled at the top levels by former officials and the aristocracy of Old Goguryeo, who then became the leadership of this new nation. But most of the people were made up of a variety of ethnic groups, mostly from what we now call Mongolia and parts of China and even Russia and Manchuria. By the turn of the 10th century, low-ranking officials from Baekje and Goguryeo territories broke away and re-established those kingdoms, and those are called the later Baekje and later Goguryeo. So it's very confusing sometimes. There are so many different names for the same territories. Very brief period that is sometimes called the later Three Kingdoms period, just a few decades in length. A period of warfare ensued in which a man named Wangon emerged victorious and eventually founded the next unifying kingdom, Goryeo, that we'll be speaking about next week. But try to avoid the confusions and concentrate on the story of Silla during this period, because that's really the most important thing. I hope you enjoy the maps and the timeline, and that's helpful for you. And I also hope to offer another video on the relationship between Korean shamanism, as it's called, and Buddhism, since for the first time in the Silla Kingdom, the unified Silla Kingdom, Buddhism becomes the official religion of the entire kingdom. But shamanism never goes away. It continues to be a force in conjunction, maybe mixed together somehow with Buddhism, that has continued even to the present day in Korean society. So I hope you enjoy the readings and the studies, and I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.